Well, welcome to the next module, and today we're going to talk about what is connecting. Now, to demonstrate this, I'm actually going to use a book by one of my mentors, John Maxwell. It's this one called Everyone Communicates, Few Connect. And throughout this course on the art of connecting, I'll probably will refer to that book several times. So let's just jump on in. I'm going to share a PowerPoint and let's get going with this module. So here we go. This is on Everyone Communicates, Few Connect, and so it's based on the book by John Maxwell. So one of the things that we all should understand is that leadership is influence. And influence depends on our ability to connect with people. And as John Maxwell says, if you ask me what's the one thing that you can do to be more successful, he'd say learn to communicate. But communication is only one part of it. The one thing that stands between you and greater success is in your personal and professional life. It isn't knowledge or skills, experience or talent. It's the ability to connect with people. This is a common misconception. How many of you watching here want to improve your results? I guess you do. That's why you've joined this program, right? And as I go through this and I ask the questions, remember that at the bottom of this section there is a comments area, and you're free. And actually, I encourage you to put your comments and put your thoughts in there. If you've got answers to these questions, again, put them in there. Yes, other people that go through this program will see them, but this is a safe place, and it's all about learning and connecting with each other. So if you share your thoughts, other people may see that as well. Now, we all want to improve the results. If you want to get better results, you've got to get better at connecting with people. End of story. It doesn't matter who you are. You can improve your results by improving your ability to connect and influence people in an ethical way. See, connecting really does increase your influence in every situation. Like whether you want to improve your relationships with your friends, that's all about connecting. If you want to improve relationships with your spouse, your partner, your children, your relatives, your work colleagues, your boss, your direct reports, that's all about connecting. And we need people. In today's world, we can't do anything on our own, not of significance. Right? Most of us watching this are in industries where we deal with hospitality and guest service. You can't do that alone. We need to be able to connect and influence with other people so that we can succeed in this world. And the friction you experience in your day-to-day life comes down to leadership, connecting, and influence. Now, the good thing is that this is a 100% teachable skill. You can learn to connect. You can learn to lead. You can learn to improve your ability to influence people if you want to. There's a common misconception that certain people are born with the ability to connect. That's not true. You know, when somebody comes out of their mother's womb, the doctor doesn't announce, "Oh, congratulations, you've got a connector," or "Congratulations, you've got a leader." No, he says you've got a boy or you've got a girl. Right? We learn these skills later. And the truth is that anyone can learn how to make every communication an opportunity for a powerful connection. It's within your reach, but it will move you out of your comfort zone because it's different. Now, don't give any thought whatsoever to developing your ability to connect. You know, many people don't see it as a skill. They don't see it as important, but it really is. It wouldn't be such a problem if people weren't so emotional, right? That's the misconception. Human beings are emotional creatures at heart. We kid ourselves that we're rational, logical human beings, but that's a facade. We are emotional creatures, and emotions rule our lives. You'll see this again with members of your family, with your children, with your spouses, with your direct reports, with your leaders. Emotions always come into communications and connections. And when you can learn to connect on a deeper level, you're increasing your ability to understand each other, and you're increasing the chances of success for both parties involved, or for all parties involved in situations. So why is this a problem? Well, let's look at it. Have you ever heard anything like, he does that if you push his buttons, or you need to know how to get him or her going? I've heard that. In all honesty, I've probably said that in the past. And we can all be logical in certain situations, but there are other situations where a certain trigger can flip our switch and we can't control ourselves, right? It's like the red mist descends and the emotional storm blows through us. Well, what we're going to cover is how the powerful learning system of connection is split into two parts. There's more connecting than we cover in this one session, and that's why I'm breaking it into 4 modules. So you may find some of the things are repeating, but that's good, because the more and more we hear something, the more we're going to take it on, right? The good thing is that you've decided that you're going to improve your people skills, your ability to connect, and by the end of this program, The Art of Connecting, my aim is that you'll have those tools that you can use right away. Now, maybe some of you watching have heard of John Maxwell. If you haven't, you may well have heard of Ken Blanchard or Stephen Covey, right? Pretty famous authors. Well, John Maxwell is actually a #1 New York Times best-selling author. He's written over 100 books. He's a coach, he's a speaker. He's sold more than 25 million books in 50+ languages. He's the founder of the John Maxwell Company and the John Maxwell team, of Equip, of the John Maxwell Foundation. And that foundation has trained more than 5 million leaders worldwide. More importantly, John is my friend and business partner and mentor, and that's why he allows me to use his books in my teachings, and I'm grateful for that. And he sincerely is one of the most skilled communicators, and more importantly, one of the best connectors that I have ever met in my life, and it's my pleasure to share that with you today. Now, the Harvard Business Review said that the #1 criteria for advancement and promotion for professionals is the ability to communicate effectively. You don't need to understand why the techniques of connecting work. You just need to understand the principles that underpin them, and then, more importantly, apply them. Now, as we say here, one principle is that connecting increases your influence in every situation. Influence is power. Influence is being able to show other people how things should be done and why things should be done. To encourage them to do it for themselves rather than have to be told to do it. Right? Now, influence can be good and it can be bad. What we're talking about is intentionally influence people by learning how to connect better. A presidential historian, Robert Dallek, says that the successful presidents exhibit 5 skills and qualities that enable them to achieve things that others don't. They are vision, pragmatism, consensus building, charisma, and trustworthiness. Now, again, I'm not going to get into political opinions and biases, so please don't put those in the comments below, because this is not a place for that. But for those of us that are a little older, you may remember Jimmy Carter and Ronald Reagan. Consider the difference in connecting skills between Ronald Reagan and Jimmy Carter during that election. During their debate, Carter came across as cold and impersonal, constantly quoting facts and figures. In contrast, Ronald Reagan was engaged with the audience and even with Carter. Reagan connected with the audience and the American people, and he was called the great communicator. Now, when you think about this in your life, who can you think that has been a great communicator and a great connector? I'll say for one that I would say that Walt Disney was a fantastic connector. You know, there is no doubt that he was visionary and a leader and an influencer on a scale that was unknown in the 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s. Excuse me. He had the knack and the skill and the ability of connecting with people on a completely different level. You know, when he wanted to create Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs in the 1930s, everybody thought he was crazy, because trying to create a full-length cartoon, so a feature film of a cartoon, was unheard of. People didn't think that anybody would sit through a cartoon for an hour and a half. So Walt Disney actually got the story in his mind, sent his animators off for dinner, and when they came back, he played out every single part of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs for about 3 hours, apparently. By the end of it, all of the animators and his production team had bought into it. See, Walt knew how to connect. Right? He didn't just tell them that's what they were going to do. He knew that if it was going to be a success, everybody had to be on the same page and everybody had to buy into it, right? That's connection. Connecting is the ability to identify with people and relate to them in a way that increases your influence with them. We now could relate to each other, and say Walt could relate to each other in that personal way. And I've done that throughout my career. Maybe not always successfully, to be honest, to start with. But now I understand what it takes to connect. I understand what it takes to listen to understand, not listen to respond. Right? Can you think of some examples in your career history where either you've done that or somebody else has done that? You know, I'm talking about listening to respond rather than listening to understand. That's where confusion comes in, right? And mistakes are made. Now, some people connect intuitively. They have high interpersonal intelligence. They seem to value people automatically. Others recognize connecting as important, but they lack the tools and techniques. They need to learn to do what others do intuitively. Some people don't recognize connecting as important at all. They think that they can do it all on their own, that they don't need other people. Why rely on others when it's quicker to do it yourself? Have you ever thought that before? Here's another saying: if you want something done right, do it yourself, because other people would only let you down anyway. Again, I used to think like that. I remember my times in the car dealerships in the UK in the early 2000s when I first became a sales manager. And I would get frustrated. I was impatient. I wanted things doing right away. So I tended to do a lot of things myself. And all that did is that wore me down, and it tired me out. And then other people looked at it that I didn't trust them and didn't respect them to do the job. Can you relate to that? Have you heard that? As soon as I understood the power of delegating and giving responsibility to other people and ownership, the performance went up throughout the dealership. It's because I let go and I connected with them on a deeper level. So the better we're able to connect with other people, the better our results. Now, what about a rocket scientist? It wouldn't apply to them, would it? Well, let me ask you this: which skill is rarer, a rocket scientist or someone who can lead a team of rocket scientists to produce meaningful results in a coordinated fashion? That means on time, on budget. Or the CEO of Rocket Scientists Incorporated. You see, often the most brilliant people are the more difficult they are to lead. Right? Have you heard that before? Again, in my career in the UK and in my career in Disney, I've come across those sort of people. Right? The ones that think they can do it all because they're really good, but they still need leading because they can be even better every day. But if we don't understand them, if we don't connect with them, how do we lead them? How do we help them to be better? And I'll say again, we need people, and people are emotional creatures. So what do you do when everyone you are leading or speaking to has different values, beliefs, or ideas? This is reality, right? You know, I will say here that a lot of people will live by the golden rule, which is treat other people as you would want to be treated. I would add in here that I prefer, from a connecting perspective, to use what I call the platinum rule, which is treat other people as they would want to be treated. You see, just because I want to be treated some way doesn't mean that every member of my team responds and reacts in the same way, all right, or expects the same treatment. And I need, as a leader, to understand each of the needs of my team so I can connect with each of them on a level that gets them to perform at their highest level. Now, as we've said already, everybody wants to improve their results. The company owner, the leader, everyone in the team. That's about being engaged, and the way you engage people is to connect with them. And given that we're all different, as we say, we all maybe want different results. Different things are important to us, aren't they? This is why understanding what makes each of your team members, or each of your spouse or your kids or your relatives, your friends, understands what makes them tick, will help you to connect on a massively deeper level. Now, we could represent this graphically as an arrow. You know, a person wants to go in this direction and this person wants to go in this direction, etc. But it doesn't quite work that way, right? The leader of an organization, or the leader of a group, the leader of a family, the leader of whatever it is, right? Whoever's in charge of that, whoever's influencing them, wants to improve the results. If they're not a connector, if they don't value other people, they have a tendency to think that the way to improve results is to work harder yourself and tell everybody else to do the same. It won't work. If you think about it, how do people get to leadership positions in most organizations? Just think about it from your past. Think about what you've experienced. And again, you can answer this question in the comment box below. But I can tell you, it's not normally based on connecting, right? It's normally based on something like a technical assessment, right? You know, the best technician gets promoted to lead the team. The trouble is, leadership and technical skills are two completely different skill sets. Two completely different. And I've seen it too many times where people are put into leadership positions, but they're not taught leadership skills. They're not taught connecting skills. And then they're expected to go and lead a team and get top results without having the tools and the knowledge of what to do. You see, technical skills are technical skills, and leadership is influence. As we said, leadership is all about others, and so is connecting. It's connecting with people. It comes from valuing people. And again, technical skill and valuing people are polar opposites. In fact, one is left-brained and the other is right-brained. That's science, folks. It's a fact. A technician simply doesn't see the world that way. If you want people to do what they should, then show them the policy manual, right? That's what a technician will say. A connector will show them, right? Will take them by the hand and they'll lead them. This reminds me of another great saying, is people do what people see. People don't do what people say. Right, so you've got to demonstrate the ability, the skills, the attitude and the behaviors that you're looking for. Because if you tell them what to do, but you do a different thing yourself, you're not connecting with people. So the leader who can't connect works harder themselves. Let's take a look at this graph. So the blue line is the individual effort. And you can see there that the effort is going up, and this is the leader, right? And they're working At a level 2, they add 2, they add 2, that equals 6. But what does the overall effort of the team do? Not a lot. Makes a big difference to him, right, as the leader, him or her, I should say, a big difference to their family, but very little difference to anything else. But when you get everybody working together, look at the teamwork. The difference is multiplication. Right? And when everybody understands what it is that needs doing, when you've connected with them so they know the job in hand, you can see that 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. So it's like a hockey curve effect. Everybody gets better. And a connector realizes, let me just take this off there. Connector realized that if they could just get another 10% out of everyone on the team, then it adds up to far more than they can contribute by themselves. You know, I'd actually go as far as to say that 1% out of every member of your team has a compounding effect. It makes a massive difference. Exponential, synergistic results. That's what you get. I want you to think about this from a guest service perspective at the moment. All right, think about it again if someone's going into the Disney theme parks or if you're going into a restaurant. You know, I've had this experience recently. You go into a restaurant and let's say the greeter at the restaurant is really friendly. Okay, they give you a great experience. They know you come in, they're expecting you, they greet you by name and they take you to the table and everything's great, right? They've exceeded your expectations. But then the server comes, plunks down some water and says they'll be back in a minute to take your drinks order. You know, and they don't come back for 5 minutes. And then they go and get your drinks and they come back like 5 or 10 minutes later. And then they leave you and they come back 5, 10 minutes later to take your order. Now suddenly your satisfaction is not so good, right? The food could come out and it could be great, right? The chef's really on their game. They've produced a fantastic meal. But again, the server is just okay. What's your recollection of that evening? Probably that it's just okay, right? Whereas if every one of those had just gone 1% above your expectation level, the compounding effect would be that you've had a fantastic evening. That's about every one of those servers and those employees in that operation connecting with that guest. Now, as we've said, leadership is influence. Leadership is getting results through other people, and it's all about the other people. But the reason connecting is such a skill is it's much more complicated than just saying, okay, I'm going to get more out of others. It's not something you can just decide or even legislate for. You have to connect. Connecting is more a skill than a natural talent, as we've said already. Anyone can learn how to make every communication an opportunity for a powerful connection. It really is just like any other skill. The more you do it, the better you get. You need to learn the skill and then you need to practice it every day. Now, Ralph Waldo Emerson said that all great speakers were bad speakers at first. I mean, this can relate to anything that you do, right? Remember the first time you did something. Were you great at it? No, it doesn't matter what it was. You know, I remember when I was like a 5 or 6 year old trying to learn to ride my bike. Maybe I was a bit younger than that. I can't remember the exact age. But I fell off numerous times, but I kept getting back on and I kept trying. And eventually, the more I did it, the better I became at it, right? And again, connecting is something that anyone can learn to do. The thing that people need to do is study communication in order to improve it. That's why I offer DISC assessments as well, which is the human behavior studies. We've all got 4 main communication styles, and I may cover that a little bit later in this course just to give you a brief overview of it. But when you understand your own communication style, and then you learn to understand the communication styles of others, I guarantee you'll be a better connector. There are several factors that great connectors draw upon to cause people to listen to them. You know, and one of those, I think, is listening. You know, I remember back in the sort of 2012 when I took over a team at Disney where we were launching a lot of new technology, and my team was supporting that technology or supporting the website with live chat, with phone support, with emails. You know, we had to change massively. Change management was something we went through for months and months. And I knew that I needed to connect with that team because I needed to help them connect with the guests, because it was all new to the guests. And you know, did it go smoothly? No, it didn't. But we got better and better and better. And we learned to connect with the guests. We learned to understand. We learned to connect with each other and with each other's departments, other departments rather. So let's look at the 5 factors for connecting. The first is relationships. That's who you know. Now, a quick way to gain credibility with an individual, a group, or an audience is to borrow it from someone who has credibility with them, right? Who you know can open the door for you to connect with somebody. But then it's up to you to actually create that connection after that. Insight. This is what you know. If you share an area of expertise generously with others, you give people reasons to respect you. All right, now this is one thing I will say here. Respect is earned. Respect isn't a guarantee. All right, respect is earned. And it helps when you develop a sense of connection with them and they develop a sense of connection with you. Success is another factor. Success is what you've done. So if you think about this, relationships, who you know, insight, what you know, success, what you've done. Now, I think most people want to be successful, right? Now, how you define success is different for each of us. But what people will also do when they're looking for success is they will seek out others who have accomplished something to get their advice. All right, so if I want to improve in the area of speaking and coaching and doing online courses, then I'll reach out and I'll talk to people who are experts in that field. If I want to do that, I'm not necessarily going to reach out to somebody who is a professional footballer. Right? What do they know about the things that I'm looking to do? All right, so think about that. Success is people looking out for others who have accomplished something to get their advice. And if you are successful in anything you do, there will be people who will listen to you and who will connect with you. Many of you have probably experienced that already. Either you looking out and reaching out for other people or other people reaching out to you. Again, it happens to me all of the time now. People reach out to me. And I love that. Because my purpose is to add value to other people so they can be the best version of themselves. So I love it when people reach out to me. Now, factor number 4 is ability. And ability is what you can do. And again, similar to the success, if you have a high level ability in an area, other people may well want to connect with you because of that ability and to learn from you. Excellence is a great connector. Individuals who perform at a high level in their profession often have instant credibility with others. People admire them. They want to be like them, or emulate them. They feel connected to them. When these people speak, other people listen. Well, let's look at Michael Jordan for a moment. Michael Jordan made more money from endorsements than he ever did playing basketball. Is it because of his knowledge or use of the products he endorses? No. It's because of what he can do with the basketball. He's created that credibility. People want to listen to him. And then the fifth is sacrifice. This is how you have lived. Now, if you've made sacrifices, suffered tragedy, or overcome painful obstacles, people will relate to you and connect to you. If you've been able to remain positive yet humble in the midst of life's difficulties, other people will admire you and they'll connect with you. The truth is, we all go through adversity. We all go through challenges. We can't necessarily control what comes at us, right? Or what we experience, but what we can control is how we react and how we respond to that adversity or those situations. Now, these 5 connection factors are just the beginning. You may be able to think of other reasons people connect. And again, if you think of any, feel free to pop that in the comments box at the bottom. It's about us all growing together. Take whatever you have and use it to connect with others. The more factors you have, the better you become at using them, and the greater your chance of connecting with people. You see, there may be no single thing more important in our efforts to achieve meaningful work and fulfilling relationships than to learn to practice the art of communication. Max Dupree said that. Play to your strengths. Develop your own style. Cultivate whatever skills you can in order to connect with other people. So let's have a recap of what we've talked about a little bit so far. Leadership is critical because anything worthwhile you achieve in life, in every other area of your life, will be with and through other people. Everything rises and falls with leadership. And what is leadership? Leadership is influence. You may be asking, how can I develop my ability to influence others and therefore become a better leader? The answer is develop the skill of connecting. Then you may say, Chris, how can I develop my skill of connecting? Well, that's why you're here, to learn. Right? The 4 things. Learn to value others. Understand there's a shift in perception. Take you out of the center. I talk about that, I think it's in module 2. Connecting is all about we and not me. Place other people at the center. So let's take a look at a practice that can help you connect better. Influence is not about impressing people. It is about connecting with them. Now, I used to think that it was all about being the best. I came from a sales environment for 20 plus years, where it was like bang, 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 monthly targets, quarterly targets, league tables with awards and everything. There's salespeople and then there's sales managers and then for dealerships. I wanted to be the best. I wanted my dealership to be the best. I used to think that if you want to lead, you have to be the best. If you want people to listen to you, you've got to impress them. But I was wrong. Influence is not about impressing people. It's about connecting with them. It's not a logical thing. It's an emotional thing. Right? People may buy on logic, right? But they connect on emotions. Remember we said earlier that people are emotional beings. They're not principally logical. They're principally emotional. To understand how to connect with people emotionally, we need to understand that. Right? That's a big point. And the truth is that we're not taught to show our emotions. This is one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about working with teenagers, because I want to work at the source of the future problems. If we can help teenagers to understand their purpose, passion, and strengths, to connect with their emotions, to show their emotions, to understand other people's, then the world is going to be a much better place. They're going to come into the workforce knowing what they want, understanding who they are, connected to their purpose, aligning their purpose with the organization's purpose, and producing a much better results. We don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we are. And the truth is, we're all different. So let me try and illustrate what I mean. I want you to take a look at the picture on the next slide and give 5 seconds to decide what you see. And I want you to put in the comments section, what do you see? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me take it back. So, how many of you saw a black urn? Pop it in the comments box. And then how many of you saw 2 people face to face looking at each other? Again, put it down in the comments box below. Let me put the picture back and now you can have another look. So can you see the black urn in the center? Looks a little bit like a chess piece, but it's an urn. And then can you see the 2 faces looking at each other? The difference in what we saw is it depends on where our awareness is. Now I've explained it and told you, can you see both of them? I'm sure you can. But it's the same picture, which is interesting, right? So you can see here that the same picture is viewed differently by different people. So if the picture is the same, the difference must be in the individual, right? That's perception. There is something different that's happened to the average adult that changes the way they see things. The difference is conditioning. You see, we don't see the world as it is. We see the way we are. And this goes a long way to explaining why we don't get what we want. We get what we are. Again, that's a deeper thing to cover in this course, but that's something that I cover in other courses. So if you're interested in that, again, stay tuned and you can see that we may well cover that at another time. Think about this in the workplace. Think about this in your family environment, your family unit, in your church, your social group, whatever. Right? People see things differently. Perception is differently. Perception to them is reality. That's actually good. Now, the implications for this are enormous, especially as it relates to communication. We all see the world differently. Now, I understand this is a simple example, but it illustrates a powerful point. We're all different. We all see the world differently. We may have different beliefs, different values. Different things are important to us. We've got different passions, different expectations and tolerances. I hope you're starting to see this. Those of you that are watching this that are leaders or that have got children and you can't understand how different people within the way you communicate understand things differently, I hope you're starting to see this now. You see, to ignore this when trying to connect is to miss the whole point of connecting. Connectors understand this. They know they have to connect with people on common ground. As this slide says, common ground is the point where everyone's needs, beliefs, and values intersect. It's what I call meeting people where they are, instead of expecting them to come to you. If I talk to you about my beliefs or my values and they're not yours, you're probably not that interested intellectually in my values or beliefs. There's certainly no emotional resonance. You can't relate to me, you don't have a good feeling about it. Worse yet, if I violate your beliefs while I'm doing it, not only do you not get a good feeling, you now get a bad feeling. You see, no one wants to be told that their belief is wrong, right? If you challenge someone's belief directly, you're going to get their back up. You see, their core beliefs are what they really value. And if you challenge that, they may want to hurt you. We see that so much in our society nowadays. It really is something we need to be aware of. This is the ego in its stripped down raw state. It wants to exterminate everyone that doesn't agree with it, right? But if you want to connect with someone, you've got to go to them. And you have to go first. And you need to connect on common ground. As it says here, that's where our beliefs and their interests intersect. That's common ground. We can connect with them there. Then take them where we want them to go. But if you don't connect, they won't go with you. If you think about this from a leadership perspective, what is a leader? A leader is somebody who's got people following them, right? If a leader is at the top of the hill and all his team are at the bottom and he says, wow, I'm so far ahead of everybody, that means they're not a good leader. That means they've not connected with their team. So if that leader then goes back down the hill, meets them where they are, listens to them, understands with them and says, okay guys, now we're ready, follow me, and then takes them with them. That's connecting. Now it takes energy. It takes intentional energy to do this. It takes energy to connect. There is an investment that's necessary, not talking about financial investment, but investment of time, of energy, effort. And to be honest, that's true of anything in life, really, isn't it? If you have to sow if you expect to reap. So, in summary, what we've covered is some information that you'll not only find interesting, but some ideas that you can start using right away. I hope you find it interesting. I know that this information, when I've shared it with organizations and with teams in the past, is usually very well received. There is a lot of information in there, but it's simple. Don't mistake that for thinking that it's easy to carry out, but it is simple. So I hope you found this beneficial. As we go through the remainder of this course, I'll add more things into there. I'll probably give you some exercises to do. But I'm also going to keep an eye on the comments box. So please, please put comments in there. If there's something that you're not sure about, if there's something that you want to add to the conversation, if there's a question that you want to ask, or if there's an experience that you want to share, use that. I want to be able to help you. I want to be able to help you to be better connectors, which in turn will make you better leaders, which will make you successful. So thanks for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next module. Bye for now.